Chapter 31 to 32. The days in Omegakure passed one after another. Yuto was having a good time. Now, at the beginning of the 56th year of Konoha, the three members of Omegakure were still undeniably good people, and the Akatsuki organization aimed for world peace. Living here, aside from the inconvenience of drying clothes after washing, was surprisingly comfortable. Having stayed in Omegakure for nearly a month, Yuto had become accustomed to the continuous rain and even found rainy days tolerable, as they at least kept things cool. One day, after finishing his strenuous training, he returned to his room. The small room was filled with a quiet floral fragrance. The seeds given by Kaoru were excellent, and whatever method was used to create them, the fragrance was long-lasting. Lying in bed, he felt a refreshing sense of being in the wilderness. Yuto's appearance had changed somewhat since he arrived. His hands and arms were wrapped in layers of bandages. If the bandages were removed, one could see dense, unhealed scars on his skin. The lion's fang bite technique was almost complete. Based on Yuto's understanding of chakra and kenjutsu, with guidance from Minato and further research by Nagato, this technique had incorporated various ninjutsu concepts, increasing its power tremendously, though it also inflicted damage on the user's body. Now, Tsunade had to finalize the improvements to reduce or eliminate the backlash on the user for the technique to be considered complete. Undoubtedly, this technique was truly an S rank in terms of both power and training difficulty. This trip to the land of rain had yielded greater results than expected. Yuto originally planned to continue building his base by collecting heads, but unexpectedly got the opportunity to complete the lion's fang bite. Just as he lay down on his bed, a strange feeling suddenly came over him. Yuto squinted, sat up straight, and looked at his bandaged hands with a frown, smiling wryly. He had no choice but to bite his tongue and use the tongue blood to perform the summoning technique luxuriously. With a puff of smoke, Katsuyu appeared. "Yuto-kun! Oh, what happened to your hands?" "Nothing. Just some after effects of training. I'll be fine with some rest," Yuto said respectfully. "Lady Katsuyu, do you have any news from Jiraiya-sama?" "Yes, he asked Tsunade-sama to send back a message. Ha 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 ha. Those three kids have grown up. You can leave their letter with me." "That's what Jiraiya-sama said?" "Thank you. And sorry for the trouble, Lady Katsuyu." "Wait a moment." Katsuyu's gentle voice had a hint of schadenfreude. "Lady Tsunade said you've been out for a month and a half, and she almost forgot she has a male student." Yuto scratched his head apologetically. "I'm really sorry to my sensei. I got so absorbed in developing ninjutsu that I lost track of time. I'll return soon with Jiraiya-sama's letter." As he spoke, he took out a small box from under the bed. "This is a collection of small trinkets I gathered in Omegakure. I hope my sensei likes them. They are handy items, because they can fetch a good price if needed." He emphasized the last few words. "Yuto, you are indeed a very filial child," Katsuyu sincerely praised, swallowing the valuable box and disappearing with a puff. In the room, Yuto rubbed his shoulders, got up, took off his high-collar cloak, changed into Konoha-style shinobi attire, and walked out the door. He was already quite familiar with the base and soon arrived outside Yahiko's room. After knocking and receiving a response, Yuto pushed the door open and entered. The moment he stepped in, his heart skipped a beat. As a double agent for Konoha, Yuto always required himself to stay sharp. Upon entering, he immediately sensed that the atmosphere in the room was off. Yahiko and Konan's faces were dark as if dripping water, and Nagato was no longer as calm as usual. He seemed like a tsunami about to erupt. "Ah, Yuto-kun," Yahiko forced a smile. "Is there something you need?" "Jiraiya-sama replied to me. He indeed has a deep connection with you three, so I can take your letter." "This is one of the few good things today," Yahiko sighed. "Nagato, please hand the letter to Yuto-kun later." Yuto blinked. By the way, there's one more thing. I've been here for almost a month, and since Jiraiya-sama has agreed, I should be taking my leave. No need to rush, Nagato suddenly said. Over the past few weeks, he had grown closer to Yuto and used more intimate terms. Yuto, your technique still lacks something. I was thinking of perfecting it. Give me 1 or 2 days, and once it's done, you can leave. Yuto thought for a moment and agreed. He knew the three of them had something to discuss, so he tactfully yawned and left the room. The atmosphere inside the room grew tense again. After a long silence, Yahiko said softly, "Conan, bring Takeda here." A paper crane flew out, and shortly after, the door opened again. "Leader," Takeda Takeshi stood respectfully. Yahiko's expression was somewhat dazed. This subordinate had always been the most reliable, always at the front line in battles, sincere and responsible. From the establishment of Akatsuki until now, how many troubles had he solved for himself? During thunderstorms, Takeda would suffer unbearable headaches, a hidden injury from taking a blade for him back then. The handsome and bold young man felt reluctant and closed his eyes, unsure how to speak. Conan, being more decisive, saw Yahiko's hesitation and decided to be direct. "Takeda, a month ago, we identified the spy who leaked your route. It was Kaoru Asano. She's from Konoha." Takeda's breath hitched, struck by lightning. Conan sighed. "This past month, I investigated many places in secret, working with Yahiko for covert operations. After multiple tests, we confirmed it was Kaoru Asano. Takeda, I know you." Conan paused, then revealed everything. "Kaoru Asano is now the person you trust the most, and you have a close relationship. Your subordinates are practically her subordinates. And more importantly, I intercepted a message by chance. Takeda, an assassination plot against you is about to commence. If you die in the assassination, Kaoru Asano will take your place. This is too dangerous. We must act first, Takeda." "Impossible." Takeda, silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. He only said a few words and then stood in a daze again. What was impossible? Kaoru couldn't be a spy, or Kaoru couldn't really kill you? Conan pondered this and looked at Yahiko. The final decision still lay with Yahiko. "Handle it yourself. As long as it doesn't harm the organization, I'll approve of your actions," Yahiko said softly, making the biggest concession possible after some deliberation. "Either banish Kaoru Asano from the land of rain, or we kill her ourselves. There's no third choice." "I'm sorry, Takeda. Say your goodbyes to Kaoru Asano. But remember, don't hesitate. After all, she's the woman who wants to kill you." Kaoru Asano held a stone pestle, forcefully grinding seeds. Copper-colored oil slowly seeped out with the kunoichi's efforts. From 20 seeds, only a thin strand of hair-like oil was extracted. Kaoru carefully collected it, surprisingly accumulating half a bowl. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking on the door had a familiar rhythm, instantly revealing who was outside. "Come in. The door's not locked." With a creak, Takeda Takeshi entered the room and locked the door behind him. Without turning around, Kaoru continued to press the oil from the seeds. "Captain, entering a female subordinate's room in the middle of the night is quite impolite, you know." "Ah," Takeda mumbled, trying to maintain a normal tone. "What are you doing?" "Extracting oil. You've always been fond of various plant seeds, but it's the first time I've seen you interested in oil. These are black palm seeds. They're not pretty and have no fragrance, but their oil is very useful. If it is applied to metal, it prevents rust." Takeda paused, touching the chakra short sword on his back. "For me?" "For the pig." Unconsciously, the man's lips curled slightly. The coldness he had mustered before entering the room dissipated. After a moment of silence, he spoke softly. "Come with me." Kaoru put down the pestle, stood up, and followed Takeda without the slightest hesitation, showing no sign of being an infiltrator. They walked for a long time, leaving the Akatsuki base, leaving the underground and reaching the surface, disappearing into the endless rain, moving farther away. Finally, they stopped at the edge of Amegakure. Takeda turned to look at Kaoru's delicate face, calmly saying, "Konoha Shinobi, Kaoru Asano, nice to meet you." The kunoichi remained silent, neither refuting nor responding. "I thought you would run away." Takeda frowned, having deliberately brought Kaoru here, implying she could leave the village without obstruction. Kaoru just stared, rain soaking her hair, black strands sticking to her fair cheeks like fragile porcelain. "Where would I run to? The three leaders are all very powerful. This is the edge of Amegakure. The leaders wouldn't chase you to the land of fire for you." "My mission isn't complete yet. Even if I returned to Konoha, it wouldn't be pleasant." "Mission! Mission!" A surge of anger suddenly welled up. Takeda stepped forward, grabbing Kaoru's shoulders, nearly digging his nails into her skin. "Your mission was to design my assassination, then replace me as the organization's fourth member, right? You, even disregarding your own life, you would complete the mission and kill me." Takeda hesitated for a long time, not daring to voice this thought. He feared Kaoru would affirm it, making his actions today seem utterly foolish. Mission?" Kaoru ambiguously responded, looking aside. The sky over Amegakure was always an awe-inspiring leaden gray. During the day it was manageable, but at night, looking up revealed an endless black, like a deep pool. Entering Amegakure felt like falling into an abyss, a place one could never leave. The kunoichi thought softly, "Stop saying such childish things." "Takeda." No longer addressing him as captain, she stared into his eyes. "Who do you think we are? We are shinobi, killing, gathering intelligence, waging wars. We can do many things, but mercy for enemies isn't one of them. You think sparing me would make me grateful? No, Takeda, I'd only mock your weakness. The land of fire and the other great nations have waged wars here for years. Many people from Amegakure died at Konoha's hands and vice versa. Amegakure caused great harm to Konoha forces. I am a Konoha shinobi, and you are a high-ranking member of Amegakure's Akatsuki. No matter how well we get along, it's an illusion. When they know I'm a spy, only one of us will live. Generational blood feuds, hatred, is the greatest bond between people in our world." Kaoru felt the grip on her shoulders weaken. "I've hurt him," she thought, feeling bitter, yet miraculously unafraid. Dying at Takeda's hands was a fate she could accept. The pressure on her shoulders disappeared, and suddenly something was placed in her hands. She looked at it, confused. "This is a shell." Takeda's voice was gentle, as if trying to dispel the gloomy weather. "I've never been to the seaside, have you?" "I haven't either. But what's the connection to our situation?" Takeda wiped the water from her face, speaking softly. "In a faraway place, there's a country called the Land of the Sea. It's even farther from the world's center than the Land of Water, composed of islands with few people and reportedly no shinobi. Chakra didn't favor that land. But it's a wonderful place. I've heard from travelers that in the Land of the Sea, the sunlight turns the beaches golden, reflecting off the sky, making the clouds look like golden palaces. At the tops of giant straight trees, there are strange fruits, hard as iron on the outside, but filled with sweet juice inside. There are no shinobi, no wars, only houses in the mountains and by the sea, and people living happily." He paused, lowering his voice. "Let's go to the Land of the Sea. Together." The woman suddenly felt lost, even though she had become an excellent shinobi. At this moment, she was as flustered as a little girl caught stealing candy by her mother years ago. Many years had passed, her mother and father were long gone, but now the man before her wanted to give her a new blue sky. Takeda opened his arms, embracing her. The rainy night was no longer cold. Let's leave together, away from the shinobi nations, to the land of the sea. We've done too much over the years. We owe nothing to the organization, and you owe nothing to Konoha. I have enough connections to ensure our safe departure, but preparing the safe route will take time. Give me a day. Tomorrow at midnight, I'll wait for you under the red sign at the base's 6th exit. We'll leave together to the land of the sea, to the place where the beach is full of shining white shells. Kaoru, give me a chance, and give yourself a chance. Okay? In the dark, rainy night after an unknown time, the woman closed her eyes, nodding, and hugged the man's waist. Her voice trembled as if embarking on a grand escape.